Ever heard a pilot on a flight or a captain in a movie say something like, "We're cruising at 400 knots, and you're just sitting there like, is that fast? Are we talking pirate speed or what? Why don't they just use miles per hour like the rest of us on land?" It sounds kinda old school, right? Well, there's a super cool reason for it, and it's way more than just tradition. It's about a system designed for a round planet, not a flat map. So let's break it down. What exactly is a knot? A knot is a unit of speed, and it equals 1 nautical mile per hour. Okay, great. But what's a nautical mile? This is where it gets interesting. A nautical mile isn't just a random distance. It's directly tied to the Earth's geometry. Our planet is a sphere, and we measure locations on it using latitude and longitude lines. Imagine slicing the Earth through the poles. A nautical mile is exactly 1 minute of arc along any line of latitude. Since there are 60 minutes in a degree, and the Earth is a big OL circle, this measurement system is beautifully consistent, no matter where you are. 1 nautical mile is about 1.15 regular miles, or about 1.85 kilometers. So yeah, it's a bit longer than the mile you run on a track, but the name knot, where did that come from? It's not just a cute name, it's literally from knots on a rope. We gotta go way back, hundreds of years ago, before GPS, before radar, before any fancy tech. Sailors needed to know how fast their ship was moving, so what did they do? They came up with a brilliant, low-tech device called a chip log, or just a log. It was a piece of wood shaped like a slice of pie, weighted on one edge so it would float upright in the water and act as a drag. This log was tied to a long rope, and along this rope, they tied knots at very specific, regular intervals. Here's how it worked. A sailor would toss the log overboard from the back of the ship. As the ship moved forward, the rope would unspool. Another sailor stood by with a sandglass, like a little hourglass, usually timed for 28 seconds. When the time was up, they'd shout, and the first sailor would pinch the rope to stop it. Then they'd count how many knots had passed through their hands. If 5 knots went by, the ship was moving at 5 knots. Boom, instant speed reading, 17th century style. It was simple, it was genius, and the name stuck. They were literally counting the knots to measure their speed. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool history lesson, but we have GPS now. We have satellites that can pinpoint our location down to the inch. Why are we still clinging to this ancient system? The answer is all about navigation on a curved surface. When you're driving your car, you're mostly concerned with the distance on a road. A mile is a mile, it's simple. But when you're flying across an ocean or sailing across a sea, you're not moving in a straight line on a flat piece of paper. You're traveling along a great circle, the shortest path between 2 points on a sphere. Think about a world map. It's a flat rectangle, but the Earth isn't. To make it flat, we have to stretch and distort it, especially near the poles. A straight line on that map isn't actually the shortest route in the real world. Navigational charts, both old and new, are based on the Earth's real shape, using latitude and longitude. Since a nautical mile is directly linked to these lines of latitude, it makes all the calculations for distance, speed, and time incredibly straightforward. A pilot or a sailor can look at their chart, measure the distance in degrees and minutes of latitude, and instantly know the distance in nautical miles. No complicated conversions needed, it just works. Using miles or kilometers would require constant messy math to convert from the chart's grid to a land-based distance. Knots keep it clean and simple. This global consistency is a huge deal. Imagine a pilot flying from New York to Tokyo. They're crossing multiple countries, vast oceans, and several time zones. If they had to switch between miles per hour over the US, then kilometers per hour over other regions, and something else over the ocean, it would be a logistical nightmare. It introduces so many opportunities for error, and when you're flying a 200-ton machine at 35,000 feet, you want to eliminate every possible chance for a mistake. The International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, sets the standards for global aviation, and they've designated knots as the primary unit for speed. It's the universal language of the sky. Everyone from a student pilot in a tiny Cessna to an Air Force pilot in a fighter jet to a captain of the world's largest airliner, they all speak in knots. The same goes for the maritime world. Cargo ships, cruise liners, naval fleets, even your weekend fishermen with a serious boat, they all operate on nautical charts and use knots. Everything from calculating fuel consumption to estimating arrival times. to navigating through tricky currents and tides is done using knots and nautical miles. It creates a seamless system where every piece of information aligns perfectly. The ship's speed in knots relates directly to the distances on the chart, which relates directly to the time it will take to get from point A to point B. It's a beautiful, self-contained ecosystem of measurement. All the instruments in a cockpit or on a ship's bridge are calibrated in knots. The airspeed indicator, the GPS, the autopilot systems, they all display and calculate using knots. Trying to introduce another unit would be like trying to pay for your coffee with a currency from a different country. You could probably figure it out, but it's inefficient and adds a layer of complexity you just don't need. When things get intense, like navigating through a storm at sea or handling a busy airport, approach pilots and captains need to process information quickly and accurately. Having one standard unit for speed is a massive safety feature. It reduces cognitive load and minimizes the chance of a critical miscalculation. So, let's put it in perspective. A typical commercial jet cruises at around 480 to 560 knots. If we convert that, 500 knots is about 575 miles per hour, or over 900 kilometers per hour. That's moving. But for the pilot, that number 500 knots means more than just raw speed. It tells them how their aircraft is performing relative to the air around it, which is crucial for things like lift and fuel efficiency. On the water, a large cruise ship might travel at a more leisurely pace of around 22 knots. That's about 25 miles per hour. It doesn't sound fast, but for a massive vessel pushing through water, that's a steady and efficient speed. Think of it like this. Knots are the native language of travel on water and in the air. Miles per hour is the language of travel on land. They're both valid, but they're optimized for totally different environments. Your car's speedometer is perfect for roads, but it would be pretty useless for a sailor trying to read a nautical chart. So the next time you re on a flight and you hear the captain announce your speed in knots, you can lean over to the person next to you and casually drop some knowledge. You can tell them it's not just quirky jargon. It's a tribute to centuries of maritime history and a brilliantly practical system that keeps our modern global transportation network running smoothly and safely. It's the invisible thread connecting ancient sailors with knotted ropes to modern pilots flying on the edge of space. It's a system born from the sea, perfected for the sky, and still the gold standard today. Thanks for watching. If you found this as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden logic of our world. Let me know in the comments if there are any other weird units of measurement you've always been curious about. See you in the next one.